Welcome back, and thanks for joining us again on Pinals People. Our guest today is the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Sun Quarter, Mr. Matt Lemberg. And he's here today to share a bit about the Boys and Girls Club's upcoming 25th anniversary. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me.
So to start off today, I'd love if you could just share a little bit about your experience as the executive director. As I understand, you've been with the Boys and Girls Club for 20 of those 25 years.
Sure.
So if you could just share a little bit with people who might not know you about what you do here.
Sure. So I've been with the organization since 2003, spent the first 2 years as teen and athletic director, and then I've been the executive director for the last 18 years. And so my role in one sense would be to work with the board and take their strategic vision and plan and then implement that on a day-to-day level with the staff. And so we have a great board of directors. Our staff is phenomenal, and I think that ultimately my role is kind of the in-between for those two groups. And so something different every day in my role. It's fun, certainly overseeing the program side, the development side, the finance and HR side, all of those kind of dynamics, kind of working with that staff and those committees to ultimately create a safe and fun and engaging environment for young people every day.
Mm-hmm. And so Boys and Girls Club, especially here in this area, it's grown significantly over the last 25 years. Can you share, having been somebody who kind of was starting pretty much from the ground up.
Sure.
Can you share a little bit about what that's been like for you and what have been some of the challenges?
Sure. Yeah. We've just been our organization. We've had such good board leadership my entire time here, and just their vision of providing a safe place for kids and wanting to serve as many kids as we could and be in as many communities as we can. I just really appreciate their vision and their support and their willingness to think outside the box and have tough discussions and make tough decisions. And so, we started off in 1998 as one club, met at Saguaro Elementary School and served about 50 young people a day back then. The plan was to move into the old high school gymnasium. That was the high school had just moved in 1997 from the old, what is now the City Hall campus, out to the new Union campus. And through a partnership with the city of Casa Grande, they leased that gym to us, so we were renovating the gym that first school year, and then moved into there in June of '99 and operated there for many years until we moved into this rec center. And so loved that building. We're able to serve a lot of young people every day, but eventually outgrew it. And so, different than ever being in a position to just open a brand new or build a brand new building every time we needed to grow. Have had great partnerships with school districts in all of our communities, and have found kind of a sweet spot of opening new clubs in school locations that allows us to grow pretty quickly to meet needs. And so we now have 8 clubs 25 years later, 1 in Arizona City, 5 here in Casa Grande, and 2 in Maricopa. 6 of those 8 clubs are school-based, and so really appreciate our partnerships with Toltec Elementary School District, Casa Grande, both Elementary School District and Union High School District, and then Maricopa Unified School District have been great to work with. And so just great partnerships, like I said, have allowed us to grow in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, Boys and Girls Club, it's a nonprofit. What would you say in the last few years have been the biggest challenges to kind of keep growing in the way you guys have?
Sure. The easy answer, I think, for all nonprofits is money, right? And so, like every nonprofit in the world, we joke that we have the worst business model, and every time we serve more kids, we lose more money. And so just love the needs that we were able to meet with our services. Right now, we do have some small monthly membership fees that only cover about 20% of our annual operating budget. Over half of our kids are scholarship to come to our program. And so the board, our development staff, and I are raising quite a bit of money that, and love the challenge of it. We don't ever want to turn a kid away because of their family's financial situation. And so we have a number of different events and campaigns that are built on that. And so as we have grown, as we have expanded in staffing, as we've expanded into different buildings and different school districts, certainly the financial piece of that has been a challenge. Over the last couple of years too, I think a lot of people are we're seeing staffing challenges. That the staffing the situation looks very different than it did 4, 5, 6 years ago, and so finding qualified people that stay there has certainly been a challenge. It feels like we've been looking for people consistently for the last 4 or 5 years, and so that would be another one. Those are the two biggest challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, so Boys and Girls Club, the organization, does have a very interesting fundraiser that it's been doing for the last couple of years.
Sure.
Which is Dancing for Our
Sure.
Stars. Could you share a little bit about the philosophy behind that and how that came about?
Behind the event?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So just real quick to get to there. So we, outside of what the kids pay, we have 4 different funding streams. So individual and business contributions, government support, events, and then grants. And so as you can imagine, over the last 5 years, especially over the last 5 years, some of those have gone up and down, and we've been really aggressive in other ways. And so, for many years, golf tournaments and dinners were kind of the staple events for nonprofits. And so, especially in Arizona in the winter when the weather's nice, you could have a nonprofit golf tournament every other weekend kind of deal. And the only difference was what logos on the program, who are you raising money for. So, really started looking at different ways to raise money, kind of differentiate ourselves as we grew and needed to raise more money, looking for ideas that, because our communities are so generous, but at the same time you don't want to go to the same business 6 times in a year and say, would you support this event, this event, this event, this event. So I think we are not afraid to quote unquote steal good ideas from other nonprofits, and so our another Boys and Girls Club here in Arizona had started Dancing for Our Stars a few years before we did, and so Gerald was the executive director at the time up there, and he said, Matt, this is the greatest event in communities like ours, and it's so different. It's fun. You're not so many good things with it, and so we have found this will be our next one will be the 3rd annual Dance for Our Stars, and so the basic premise is we will find 10 local celebrities, pair them up with 10 dance professionals, and over the course of a couple months they will learn a style of dance and then a routine that they will perform at the event in March. And this year's event is March 23rd. And then the fundraising side of that is that, like everything else, we will sell sponsorships to that event. We will sell tickets to the event. This year's event will be in the ballroom at the Ak-Chin Casino again this year. And then there is some fundraising for the dancers too, and so we ask them to solicit votes. It's $10 to vote, and so what's really cool about that part of this event is that it's no longer people in the event are the only people that can support it. And so my wife is a tap instructor here in town, so in our first event she was the professional dancer with Mayor McFarland, and we had family from back east that voted for them, and no ties to Casa Grande other than us and Boys and Girls Club, but really cool. So we're not limited. Anybody in the world could support that event. We have a live stream so people can watch it. Last year we had I think we had about 100 people watching in different spots. So really fun. There's not another one in the area, so we're not competing with people who said, I just went to one last week. And our dancers have been so good. The first year was interesting. We were supposed to have it in April of 2020. Obviously, the pandemic hit, so we pushed it back, and ultimately until April of 2022. And each set of dancers have been so involved, so engaged, so great with it. You know, we could plan the greatest event, but if the dancing isn't engaging, people wouldn't want to come back. And so it's so cool. The television show is on its 40-something season. I mean, it's been around for a while, super popular. And so last year's dancers were great. Really excited about this year's. We will announce them at a dancer reveal in late September 29th. And so beginning to build that. We are almost confirmed all 10 of our dancers. We're hoping to do that in the next couple of weeks. So excited about it. I think we've got a ticker on the website, and I can't remember what the exact count is, but it's a few hundred days away, and it feels closer and farther apart at the same time. So yeah, fun event.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and what's really remarkable about that event is it seems to really get the community engaged around your organization.
Sure.
What's been for you, I mean, has it been surprising to you, like the outpouring of support you guys have gotten in just that fundraiser alone?
Sure. We've got, you know, it's the fun part of my job is bringing people together to support our mission. And, you know, so I think our communities have supported us the whole time. You know, we love that. And like we were talking about before, you know, Boys and Girls Clubs is a national entity, you know, and so, you know, people who have lived other places and have just moved here generally know about Boys and Girls Clubs because they saw one or went to one, or their grandkids or nephew or neighbor went to one. And so, yeah, this community has been so good to us, and it was each of the events have been our largest fundraisers ever at that point. And so certainly there's the financial piece. We've had a number of volunteers, not only the celebrity dancers and the professional dancers, but just in helping out the event and with the night of and leading up to it. And so it's a large production, and our committee and our board does a great job, and our staff do a great job in putting it together. And last year I think we had 500 people in attendance, and so attending is fun and good. And it was interesting. I didn't think about this, but you know, we have a tech rehearsal and a dress rehearsal, and it was fun watching the dances the 2 nights before, but just having the energy of 500 people in the room as all of that was going on was just such a different experience than the 2 nights before. And so yeah, our community is so good to us, and so, you know, we see right now about 550 kids a day, and so when we think about, you know, we're serving that many families, but also you know, that many employees' families. You know, so when we talk about all the employers in town and how we're partnering with them through supporting their employees' kids, and you know, somebody's neighbor's kid comes to us, or somebody's grandchild or nephew comes to us. It's our communities are so good. All 3 of them have been great to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And as you look on, you know, I know you've been with Boys and Girls Club, as we said, for 20 of the 25 years, but as you look on, you know, the history of the Boys and Girls Club in this community, what are the things when you look back on that you're most proud of those 25 years that this organization has accomplished?
Sure. You know, I think going back, the big piece of that is, you know, we want to provide a safe place for kids to go when they're not in school. You know, out of school time is so important, and especially with the number of families who parents are working, you know, and so kids would be going home to an empty house, or during school breaks, or now in Casa Grande, Arizona, say on Fridays when there's no school, you know, that we are giving them a safe place to go so the parents aren't worried about that. You know, certainly with that, we have a great opportunity to impact lives while they're here. And so every Boys and Girls Club in the movement wants to help out with academic success, good character and citizenship, and healthy lifestyles. You know, we want to help young people succeed today and moving on into the future. And so really proud of, you know, we've at different points in our history have tracked test scores for our members versus elementary school district kids who aren't members, and seeing that kids that are coming to us are more likely to do some things than non-Boys and Girls Club kids, and love stuff like that. That we've grown into new communities feels like a win. There was no after-school program in Arizona City when we started there 19 years ago, and as we've moved out into Maricopa the last couple of years, there's just there haven't been a ton of opportunities for young people there. Certainly how our staff has handled the last 4 years and remaining open during the pandemic, and we went into the pandemic having never operated more than one all-day club at one time. And at the height of the pandemic, we were operating 4, just because even though school was virtual, parents still had to work and kids still needed safe places to go. And so just how we've handled that is one thing I'm proud of, to have grown the organization financially. To be able to meet the needs of our community, again, speaks to the work of our staff and our board and the support of our community. It's a different world than it was 20 years ago when I started. It's a different organization, and there's different needs. We were joking, and when I started, our employee handbook talked about MySpace. Mm-hmm. So just as it's funny how social media certainly has evolved since then, and helping navigate some of that kind of stuff. And so, I think. Proud of that. Proud of the relationships that we've built. We're standing in the brand new rec center that we moved in 4 years ago, and just our work with the city of Casa Grande that allowed us to move into some new space like this, which again allowed us to serve more kids and to serve more kids more effectively. And so, lots of things to be proud of over the last 20 years, both personally for me and my small piece of that, and I think bigger picture organizationally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. So for people, because of course Pinal County is growing, yep. And while Boys and Girls Club, of course, is a national organization, yep. I think some people might not even know that there's branches
sure.
here in Pinal County.
Sure.
What do you wish more people in this community knew about the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corridor?
Sure. So a joke in my world is that if I have a tie on, I'm asking someone for money. So have the tie on here today, and so I feel like that within this video I can ask for money and people can be good. No, I think, you're absolutely right. We are always getting calls. We didn't know you were here. We didn't know what you did. I think. That's a loaded question. I think what one of the perceptions that we're trying to change is we want to be known as a youth development organization, and so kind of push back a little bit on your daycare. Mm-hmm. And daycare is an incredibly valuable service, and I don't mean to convey that in a bad way at all, but really wanting to take advantage of the time we've got for them and develop them in all those different ways we talked before. So, certainly in all of our communities, letting them know that we're here. We were just looking at some social media metrics, and so much of our following is Casa Grande specific. And so, especially in Arizona City and Maricopa, getting the word out on what we do and what we can do for families would be part of that. I think, and it's there's some great nonprofits in Pinal County, and so hopefully this kind of brings some helps market all of us in some place. Certainly I was talking about Jim Shope and the Maricopa Food Pantry and what they do. We partner with so many great nonprofits because there's so many different needs in our community, and so anytime that we can bring a light to all of those, the rising tide raises all ships, is certainly something that we believe in. And so now having said that, support the Boys and Girls Club, but we love all of our partners and what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. And then we just have one last question for
Sure.
you. And this is a question we've been asking everyone who's come on the show this past year.
Sure.
And so I'd love to get your input on it.
Sure.
But let's imagine it's many, many years from now.
Okay.
And you've accomplished everything you've wanted to with the Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
And now you're getting ready to pass on the torch to the next generation
Sure.
of leaders. And out of all of the experiences you've had with the organizations, all the fundraisers you guys have done, everything, you can only pass along one lesson or piece of advice. What would it be?
Oh my gosh, I went a couple different routes with where during that question where you might end up, and that's a tricky one. You know, my go-to response is self-deprecation, and I love making fun of myself. And you know, so I think luckily for whoever comes in, they will have a low bar to jump over. They will have low expectations because it'll be easy to surpass what I have done here. So, you know, I think in this role for this organization, for what we want to do. Surrounding myself with good people has been the best thing I've done. And so, you know, we have grown in my time from one club and 12 staff to 8 clubs and over 50 staff. And so, you know, I used to be able to be much more involved day to day with everything, and now it's it just can't be that way. We don't have the bandwidth, and we would struggle if we were dependent on that. So. Our board is phenomenal. They've got us. They helped us navigate us through 20 years of growth. The last 4 years of day-to-days changing. Our staff. So many days over the last couple of years have been, how do we survive today? You know, and just what do we need to do to get through today? And it's fun to be at a point now where we can ask some bigger picture questions and get back to, it feels normal, in air quotes, right? And so we have great people in the right spots. We have great partners, we have great supporters. We appreciate our relationship with you guys and giving us this platform today, right? And so, I think that would be the one. Just surround yourself with great people and let them do what they're good at and get out of the way a lot of the time. So, hopefully that wasn't a repeat, because I'd feel bad if it felt like I copied somebody else.
No, they've all been different. But thank you. That's incredible.
Good.
And Matt Lemberg, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.